Good evening and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. It's Leah's surgery today for those who support me and love also my wife. Today Leah's having her cancer surgery, so hopefully, fingers crossed, all goes well. So for the next few hours, I'm here at the hospital and I'm waiting in a quiet space, and I wanted to talk with you. So let's get down to it. It's lovely to be able to join you here today. It's quite a stressful time at the moment, and we just have to wait to see what happens. While I'm waiting, I wanted to share my thoughts with you about the market. And we are preparing for Season 5, which will kick off in just a few days' time. And because of that, I'm making some major adjustments to my portfolio, the studio, and everything else. And we've seen the markets dramatically, crypto at least, dramatically sell off. And I've made a major purchase. I bought a whole Bitcoin and the rest in XRP. So for the very first time, I own one Bitcoin and the rest is in XRP. Question is this a good idea? Why have I done it? So let's discuss that today. I will go through comments and questions as well. I will answer as many questions as I can. So please do tap the like button. If you've just tuned in, I'm spending this next couple of hours talking to you as my wife goes through cancer surgery. So many people don't understand what is going on with crypto. I've never seen so much nonsense on social media as I have now. I have not bought this out of emotion, frustration, boredom, as some people have suggested. I actually enjoy making consistent wins. As you know, I never lose on my trades. Consistent wins, consistently beat Berkshire Hathaway, consistently beat the S&P by buying the macro dips on the S&P 500. I'm not looking for excitement to buy crypto, or I'm not emotionally led by what I'm reading. However, on social media right now, I'm hearing more and more nonsense. More and more people have no idea of what they're talking about when it comes to crypto. Now, I'm no expert on crypto, but I do have and do build great relationships with people, and I do speak to people at the top and understand what is going on. And for that reason, I felt comfortable buying a whole Bitcoin and the rest in XRP. Now, why? Why is the market sold off? Well, lots of people have theories. Some of it is based upon nothing other than rah-rah to try to encourage you to buy and get in. But a lot of it is also a lack of understanding from a lot of people, a lot of retail investors that don't understand what's going on at all, and try to either spread fear if they want to short the market, or they want to pump it for themselves, thinking it makes a difference. Well, of course it doesn't. It's all a lot of nonsense, and for that reason, I very rarely, if I never take any notice of what's being said. I do see it all and learn from it, but none of it makes any sense at the moment. One of the things that people have said is it's been sold off due to macro conditions. Now, what are macro conditions? Macro conditions are external of the fundamentals. That could be anything. Interest rates going up or down, wars breaking out, all kinds of external events are macro conditions. Yesterday we heard from the Fed president that it looks more likely that we will see rate cuts soon. Probably means December. We don't know. Probably does. If not, January. Now, why does that make a difference? Why did they do it? Well, I've had it from very good sources, the reason they did this, and this has happened many, many times in history, certain bits of information always through the chair, Jerome Powell, get leaked out on purpose to protect the market. The reason why this information was released is because if the market does pull back too quickly with everything else that's going on, it's never one thing or the other, it could force the markets to go into recession. We also have another issue with the carry trade is unwinding. We talked about this months ago and said the market would pull back 40%. You may remember, if you go back on my early videos, I told you the carry trade was coming. Well, it's starting to unwind. We'll cover that in a moment. And with the interest rates not coming down, or people thought they weren't coming down, less liquidity in the market, that meant that sent crypto down. However, this is where it all gets a little bit confusing, and it's not black and white. For many businesses, we don't need low rates. In fact, for the Mag 7, which makes up 30% of the growth on the S&P, they don't care whether rates are high or low. In fact, they benefit. If you think about it, we've had a rally in the market with high interest rates now for a couple of years. So it doesn't really affect the higher end of the market at all. It mainly affects smaller new businesses that are trying to start out and get going. Those businesses need low rates. It also helps in the crypto space to have lower interest rates, because that will benefit and that will bring liquidity in the market, and more risk assets like crypto will be bought up. So we've got lots of different things going on at once. So the reason why I decided to buy Bitcoin, a whole Bitcoin, and the rest in XRP, was for first of all, fundamentally, because it's a good time to buy the asset. I'm reluctant to say it's cheap, because it's not. I'm reluctant to say it's undervalued, because it's not. I'm reluctant to say oversold, because what does that really mean? At the end of the day, these assets don't produce anything. So it's not like my trade where I suggested to everyone buy I suggested everyone buy Coca-Cola. I was right on that, because I could see how much money it was making, and what we were paying for the stock was a very, very good price, taking into consideration the income the company makes, the profit, the loss, the depreciation, the balance sheet, the debt position, so on. That was a good value. It was a good buy. It's never cheap, because you can't buy Coca-Cola cheap, but we can imply that strategy onto crypto. Now, I've said, and I've repeatedly said this, that I believe that that Satoshi could be out of the Russian office. I stand by that. That may or may not be the case, but that's what I think is highly possible. So you might say, well, why on earth would I buy a Bitcoin? When I'm a value investor, when I value balance sheets, relationships, what is there in Bitcoin? Well, I have bought it for several reasons. One, as a social experiment to see how I would feel owning a whole Bitcoin, to also see how you would feel by me owning a whole Bitcoin. But also, just because I can think of something being rubbish or not valuable doesn't mean to say I can't buy it. And I will use an example of BlackRock. Have often said that we don't believe in Bitcoin, but we'll buy it and sell it to you because you want to buy it. Now, I'm not saying I think it's rubbish, because if I thought it was rubbish, it would be a bit weird spending $82,000 buying a load of rubbish. I am looking at Bitcoin and XRP and trying to read the audience, read the room. That's something I do very well as an entertainer. I've been reading the audience since I was 4 years of age. I've worked every piano bar in the world, pretty much every country of the world at least. And I understand people, greed, selfishness, lack of knowledge, herd mentality. And I can see that Bitcoin could go to 150,000, 200,000. I doubt it can make it by the end of the year, quite honestly. However, I can see it's possible. For these reasons, not because people say on social media, not because people say on X it's going here and it'll be $1 million and so on and so forth, is because enough people believe it can. So when it was $10, it sounded expensive. Nobody wanted to buy it. And then when it went to 20, 50, 100, more people bought it. And then those that bought it for 10, it felt cheap to them. I think we've become accustomed now to believe that 100,000 is cheap and we're on sale. It's like a sale. Michael Saylor will tell you we're 99% discount right now compared to it being worth $1 million. It's not very good maths. I don't know how he works that out, but anyway, it's a perception. And if enough people believe it, then it can become so. No different than gold. We have gold now as the asset we regard as the staple. It could have easily been something else. It became gold because it got adopted by enough people and it became the standard. So there's no reason why Bitcoin could not do the same thing. So there's a few things I wanted to cover on this. For those who just tuned in, I'm in a hospital. Leah is now in general anesthesia, and she's going for a cancer surgery, and I just wanted someone to talk to. So I'm here to talk to you while I'm waiting for Leah to go through surgery. This is her main day today. After this, she will do chemo and all the other things. Anyway, so I do believe that Bitcoin could go up to 150, 200,000. Not because I think it's worth it, because people will buy it like digital gold, even though I see it as digital capital, not digital gold. Now, what will I do? Well, if I earn enough money on YouTube and I don't need to reduce the margin as quick as I would perhaps do right now, because I bought it on margin, then I might be able to hold it all and see how far it goes with my one Bitcoin. My plan right now is I don't expect to earn a massive improvement over the next few months on YouTube, and don't expect to suddenly make a load of money on that scale. So more than likely what I will do, but I'm not saying this is what I will do, is if it does go to 150,000, I'd basically double my money, is I would get my capital out, pay off the margin. Then I've got half a Bitcoin, if you like. That's probably what I'll do. However, if I do manage to earn a lot of money and the S&P rallies and I start to grow the other part of my portfolio more than expected, maybe I hold on to it. We'll see how I feel. With XRP, it's different because I'm giving away, I use it for prize money, to give to you guys as prize money. So I want to hold on to that to give to you as prizes. So that will be different. I don't see any reason to sell that. I know the XRP army will be thrilled to hear that. Anyway, so let's talk about the carry trade. The carry trade is slowly unwinding. It's not making headlines at the moment. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but it is in fact happening. I will come on to comments and questions shortly. I'm just trying to pass the time while I sit here waiting for Leah to come out of surgery. I'll do comments and questions in a minute. The carry trade, what is it? At the moment, it's not making the news. It very rarely does. Think of America as the producers of tech and the exporter, if you like, of the dollar. We control the dollar with the military power, position in the world keeps the dollar at the moment as the central global currency, if you like. That's our power. That's our magic power. China is the factory of the world, and the finance of the world is a tiny country called Japan. What I mean by this is Japan has been the bank or the loan or the lending bank for the world. What I mean by this is Japan has had historically very low interest rates, very often negative. What that means is large investors go to Japan to borrow money, to use margin, to buy great investments, great American businesses. So when their economy sees rates rise, which they are now, and they will be, then those debts, those margin positions liquidate. People get shorted out. Sorry, not shorted out. They get liquidated. We saw it happen before, and it's starting to unwind again now. It hasn't happened fully, but it is in the process of building momentum. So what that means is investors in Japan, not necessarily Japanese investors, it could be anybody who's access to the Japanese banking system, get margin called, get liquidated. It means a lot of shares, a lot of American businesses get sold off. That doesn't mean American businesses are failing. It just means people are being forced to sell. A bit like what happened with crypto. Crypto was forced to be sold because of new investors that have now leveraged to the teeth, who predicting end of the year it's going to go to 200,000, put all their money on it, borrow money. Now, I borrowed money, but very, very, very carefully. There's no risk at all. If anybody asks me when I do Q&A in a minute, I'll explain to you how I've got no risk whatsoever using margin at all, zero risk on my Robinhood. I'll explain to you if you ask me that later on. But essentially, people have borrowed money. They're getting liquidated, being forced to sell American businesses. The stocks come down because of people selling. That's what's been happening with crypto. People have been selling crypto because they were forced to sell. They had no option to sell. They were liquidated. Now, Tom Leah has come out and said there was a glitch, there was a bug in the system. Remember, Tom